Some pretty big news has just came out about Control Your Narrative, and I think it is some news that has pretty much completely exposed Control Your Narrative and the entire message behind Control Your Narrative. So Control Your Narrative is a wrestling promotion that was formed by EC3 and Braun Strowman, aka Adam Scherr. And basically, the entire message and reason for Control Your Narrative being formed was that EC3 and Braun Strowman were both released by WWE, and they both believed they were underutilized, so they're going to start a promotion that gives other wrestlers who were treated unfairly by either a higher power or just the world apparently, and give them a platform to show what they really are and control their own narrative and not have their narrative controlled by the powers that be or whatever the message is. I think I got pretty close to it there. Basically, it's a promotion for either blacklisted wrestlers or wrestlers disgruntled with their pushes and how they were treated in their last company. We've seen a fair few names pop up in Control Your Narrative so far: EC3, Adam Scherr, Moose, Matt Cardona, Austin Aries, which was a very infamous signing for Control Your Narrative, and Killer Cross. Vincent, Paro, Jervis, Sarah Logan, all these people have turned up for Control Your Narrative. Many of whom being former WWE superstars. I mean, just out of that, we have EC3, Aries, technically, I guess, Killer Cross, obviously Weston Blake as well, Adam Scherr, Sarah Rowe, Killian Dane and Eric Redbeard have also turned up. It's very primarily ex-WWE wrestlers who felt they were mistreated in the WWE, who were the top stars and the bigger pushed names within the company. And these guys are trying to build their careers back up by doing what the WWE couldn't or something, by giving them a better push and showing what they really are and, wow, F the system. But very recently, Triple H became the head of creative for WWE, and he became the one that oversees Raw and SmackDown and oversees the entirety of the WWE product. And with that came many rumors that released wrestlers were going to be willing to return. Many wrestlers who Triple H liked wanted to come back to the company and would have if they had received an offer. And with that, we've seen Io Shirai ended up staying when it was rumored she wanted to go to Japan, which she confirmed she was thinking of doing. Dakota Kai was re-signed. Hit Row came back, Johnny Gargano came back, Dexter Lumis came back, and many more are rumored. But there was one return that was rumoured by Fightful Select on one day, and that was Karrion Kross, obviously Killer Kross, who was a big name for Control Your Narrative, and someone who Control Your Narrative heavily leaned into being mistreated by the WWE. But lo and behold, on the same day that he was rumoured to be returning to the WWE, or at least in talks to be returning, he literally returned live on that SmackDown, I believe it was, confronting Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre, confronting the two biggest guys in the company. He's gone from Control Your Narrative to being in the main event scene of the WWE. Like, it's an incredible upgrade. And honestly, it was seen as a bit funny for Control Your Narrative that they've just lost a guy who went to Control Your Narrative, complained about WWE status, just to go back there. It's kind of like what people say with Mickie James. You know, Mickie James, she got her stuff in a trash bag, but if you're going to get offered a bag by the WWE, you're most likely going to go. The issue is that Control Your Narrative has kind of built themselves and built their personality as being, you know, F the establishment and we control our own narratives. Killer Kross clearly controlled his narrative and gave it back to the WWE for them to control and take over now. And hey, while losing Killer Kross was pretty bad for Control Your Narrative, he's one of the bigger names, at least he wasn't like, say, one of the co-founders, one of the founding members of the promotion. It's not like Cody leaving AEW to WWE, like that was bad, but Killer Kross isn't on that level. The only way that could happen is if Braun Strowman or EC3 were to leave. And yes, here we are, where Braun Strowman has been rumoured or confirmed apparently by PW Insider to be appearing on this week's Monday Night Raw coming up, and it has been rumoured throughout the week that he was in talks to return, and I believe that it's going to happen. Braun Strowman was a big name for a while in the WWE. It was kind of out of nowhere when he got released because he had cooled down a bit, but he was still like the upper echelon of like names in the company. He was still more near to the main event, and he just got released out of nowhere and really just failed to create a buzz since getting released. So It's probably a good thing he's going back. He's probably got his career back on track. But wow, oh wow, has this completely exposed Control Your Narrative and how really their message means absolutely nothing. If one of their co-founders, Braun Strowman, the biggest guy in the company for Control Your Narrative, can just go back to WWE. He can just, after he sat down and listened to EC3 talk about how Roman Reigns was Vince McMahon's son and how he got fed to Roman and things like that, just to decide, okay, I'm going to now go back to WWE to probably, again, get fed to Roman. He's not beating Roman still. Now he's back. Nothing's changed there. And yeah, they've lost their biggest guy in the company and one of the founders. Like, what actually is Control Your Narrative's message? Because at this point, I think any member of the roster would go to the WWE if they got offered. Like, they have this whole message, and I don't think it's a legit message anymore. Like, how can I invest in this company when their message is as flawed as this? They've lost two of their biggest names, who have gone completely against the message that this Control Your Narrative tried to spread with, you know, screw WWE for underutilizing us, we're going to do it our own way now, to just, nah, we're going back. Like, it's happened to two of your biggest names now. The only names I don't think would go back if they were offered would be Aries and maybe EC3. I couldn't see Aries going back. Maybe I could actually. EC3 I'm 50-50 on. In fact, I'm 50-50 on both of them. I actually think every one of them could well just go back to the WWE if they got offered to do it. So yeah, now it's kind of making me wonder what's actually going on with this NWA invasion, because it was only like 4 of them who invaded the NWA, so maybe it's just Control Your Narrative is just going to go back to being a faction again that roams from company to company and doesn't have its kind of own home base. Maybe Control Your Narrative, the promotion, will be a bit more low-key. They'll run less shows. I mean, that's kind of what they've been doing the whole time. Maybe we just had the wrong impression of what Control Your Narrative was meant to be the whole time. Because now that Strowman has left, now that they're invading the NWA, maybe Control Your Narrative, the promotion itself, is just kind of an indie that does house shows, not really broadcast. Like, what kind of company do we class them as? And maybe Control Your Narrative is going back to being more focused on as a stable rather than a company like it was before. Imagine NWA were like, oh yeah, we'd love to do this cross promotion with Control Your Narrative, thinking that it means they get Adam Scherr on their roster, which would be like the perfect signing for the NWA, and they would love him there, probably making the world champion for like 2 years if they had him, and now he's just like gone. Like, imagine NWA were told that. How must they be feeling right now with this invasion angle going on? They've lost their biggest name for it. CYN recently posted the show though. It's them versus AML, which is another promotion, and I think Adam Scherr is on the card, and I'm meaning to watch it for a video, so we're going to watch Adam Scherr's final appearance for Control Your Narrative, so that is going to be a very interesting watch. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think of the news. Let me know what you think of Braun Strowman going back to the WWE, Triple H snapping him up, because wow, it's absolutely crazy what has just happened here. So I wonder who we're going to see next go from Control Your Narrative to the WWE if possible. We saw Sarah Rowe appear as well, to be honest, so that also makes kind of sense. I completely forgot she could be coming back because she appeared on WWE television. They truly don't care over there, do they? Either way, that's it from me on this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all soon. Goodbye, and keep on rolling.